standing still on the courthouse steps in the center of Maryville. Harry Truman stood there speaking, running for the Senate seat, preaching to the farmers gathered on the street. He finished up his sermon, waved his hat and drove away, just minutes before the sky turned into a bruise of black and gray. Down at the field, the spoof founds were running through their plays, dreaming of the glory of their gridiron days, while the boys of the CCC, with the grain bins built and done, were stirring pots for dinner as the fading of the sun gave way to something wicked, a rumble deep and low, and the clouds began to curdle with an eerie, sickened glow. Maryville, 34, the sky turned green to gray. Harry Truman lived to see another day. Church steeples toppled, but the coal bell stayed. 6 CCC boys gone where the grain bins swayed. Football players huddled while the school gave way. Makes you wonder who decides who's taken, who can stay. Maryville, 34, in the roar and the rain, how the wind chose hearts to leave and hearts to remain. Then the big one dropped from heaven with a little brother too. They danced a twisted tango as the wind began to chew. They merged into a monster, a single spinning hand, to wipe the slate of Maryville across the darkened land. Harry Truman got out lucky, but the town would pay the cost when the two became the one and the innocence was lost. It started at the ice house, McFarland's frozen store. It blew it into splinters and came looking round for more. It tore the Methodist steeples down, then took another turn to the Amy, where the steeple fell with no time left to learn that a beast doesn't distinguish between the sinner or the saint. It just paints the town in rubble with a violent, muddy paint. Maryville, 34, the sky turned green to gray. Harry Truman lived to see another day. Church steeples toppled, but the cold bell stayed. 6 CCC boys gone where the grain bins swayed. Football players huddled while the school gave way. Makes you wonder who decides who's taken, who can stay. Maryville, 34, in the roar and the rain, how the wind chose hearts to leave and hearts to remain. It roared toward the high school, a freight train off the track. The football team fled off the field and didn't look strictly back. They dove into the basement, in the locker room they hid, while the roof was ripped right off the top, flipped open like a lid. Then past St. Francis Hospital, just one block down the street, where the nuns and doctors prayed aloud for the hearts that barely beat. Oh, the prayers might have saved the sick, kept the hospital secure, but the worst was yet a coming, of that you can be sure. It skipped another 4 blocks, hungry for the end, toward the barracks of the workers who had no distinct defense. There were 7 cabins standing for the men of the CCC. By the time the wind was finished, there was only one to see. It crushed the other 6 to dust, took 3 lives right away, and 3 more followed after before the light of day. 6 boys who built the grain bins, who never ate their stew, lost to the October wind that broke the town in two. Maryville, 34, sky turned green to gray. Harry Truman lived to see another day. Church steeples toppled, but the cold bell stayed. 6 CCC boys gone where the grain bins swayed. Football players huddled while the school gave turned to decades, but the elders know the sound of the day the Maryville Tornado drove the buildings to the ground. Harry Truman went to Washington, the spoof hounds play the game, but the ghosts of 1934, they whisper just the same. Yeah, they whisper just the same. Maryville, 34, the sky turned green to gray. Harry Truman lived to see another day. Church steeples toppled, but the cold bells stayed. 666 boys gone where the grain been swayed. Football players huddled while the school gave way. Makes you wonder who decides who's taken, who can stay. Maryville,